Okay, everybody. Well, welcome back. I hope you had a good lunch. And a special welcome to the Developing Sales Talent guys who've just joined us with the legendary Sean Brickell down here. You've picked a very good time to be joining us because we have a fantastic presentation now. And it's about social media. Hands up if you think social media is important. Hands up if you completely understand social media. Okay, so that's just the two of us. So it's actually very difficult to get expertise. Come and sit down. Welcome. It's very difficult to get a clear view about social media. And actually, if you Google social media expert, you literally get 400 million replies to your search query. And some of them are actually naked social media experts. But I can't promise you that now. But what I can promise you is somebody who not only talks the talk, but walks the walk with social media. Somebody who's actually a successful social media entrepreneur and who critically is an expert on how to use LinkedIn to help your bottom line. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a very warm welcome to Philip Calvert.
The afternoon slot. Let's see you moving your hands. Do a bit of rock music. Come on. I've got permission to do anything to keep you awake. Fantastic. Let's keep it going. Let's get some warmth. You can do a bit of head banging as well if you fancy it. Air guitar. Stuff. Oh, this is what we like. Okay. Goodness me, that's woken us up. So those of you over a certain age, or if you were older than a teenager, in about 1976 onwards, you may know this band. Saxon are a fine bunch of British rockers who are still enjoying a phenomenal career, as are many other British rockers still enjoying a phenomenal career. Many of them in their 60s, many of them in their 70s, but for most of them, one of the core ingredients as to why they are so visible and why they are still so popular is the fact that they've been able to use social media to give the perception that they're still alive, they're still rocking, they're still kicking, and of course YouTube has been their tool of choice to be able to do that. Now it is amazing what social media can do in terms of enhancing the perception of our professionalism, our credibility, our expertise, all the good stuff that we really want. And we can use social media in a variety of different ways. So for example, I can listen to what you're talking about me on Twitter, or indeed you can ask questions of me on Twitter. So if any of you are on your phones, and I know many of you are, and you want to ask a question, I'm not going to answer it during the presentation, but I'll more than happily answer it later. Just send me a tweet through there. So what is this perception that we can create? Well, I've been watching you very carefully today. One of the things I particularly enjoy as a speaker at conferences is actually watching what's happening in the audience. And being a sales conference, we've seen a classic example of how we're doing this. Now, I'm not going to mention any names, but you will know who you are. Typically, when we come to the coffee breaks at events like this, we see people do three things. Yeah, they go onto their mobile phone, they go to the loo, and they have a cigarette. And one or two guys have been in all three at the same time today. But really what's interesting is I've seen some people on their phones, okay, that come to the coffee breaks, and I saw one particular person outside, they were doing this, yeah, mm-hmm. And, you know, he looked pretty smart, he looked pretty successful, and was going up and down. And I thought, well, you know, clearly he's onto there's a deal here. Something's going down, and he's been building up to it, and today's the day, and he's got to go on the phone to check out, you know, the progress. And he's going, yep, mm-hmm, fantastic, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And he's going up and down like this quite a lot, yep. And then he stopped. And I watched from a distance, but I could hear exactly what he was saying, and he stopped for a moment and went very, very attentive and said, "Yes, dear, fish fingers will be fine." Now, it's a curious one. So what I'd like to do now is let's have a quick show of hands. We might just have some house lights up just for a little bit if we possibly can. Quick show of hands for those of you that have got a profile on LinkedIn. Quick show of hands. Wow, that's okay. Put your hands down now. Now put your hands up if you know why you have a profile on LinkedIn. That's a very, very different answer. Okay, so what we're going to do is a little experiment just to try and prove whether you actually are on LinkedIn or not. Okay, I'm going to take a photo of you, and I'm going to put it onto LinkedIn later this afternoon or tomorrow morning. I'd like you to seek me out on LinkedIn, where you will see the picture, okay? And if you can see yourself, just say hi, okay? Or just engage with that particular picture, okay? So I'm going to take your picture now. So here we go. Let's get you. Let's take another one from this angle. Let's make it a really good one. And perfect. Okay. So that'll be on LinkedIn a little bit later on. But I really would like you to engage with it. Okay, so what's the big deal about LinkedIn? Well, first of all, it's been shown through all sorts of different studies that as a result of looking at someone's LinkedIn profile page and then it turning into a lead or potential bit of business, LinkedIn outstrips all the other sites by a long way. That's not to say that Twitter isn't coming up fast on the rails. Hands up if you use Twitter, just out of interest. Okay, and do you actually use it in a sales environment, sales situation? Nodding of heads. So LinkedIn straight away is producing more leads. That's one reason to be using it. Now, one thing that is worth pointing out is that technology, we hear it all the time, something's great, something's exciting. I don't know if you've heard of the Gartner hype cycle, and it's a model that's used that we can actually measure whereabouts a particular piece of new technology is in terms of how well it's being adopted. So when something new appears, the trigger happens, then we get all excited about it there, then when it doesn't work, we get all disappointed about it here. But one or two bits of technology sneak through and become very much part of everything we use. So let's just have a look at some typical social tools that we might use on the internet and see where they sit. V stands for Vine over here, which is now owned by Twitter. It's a video version of Twitter. You've got between 6 and 7 seconds of video that you can post. Lots of people are getting quite excited about it. This is the future of sales and marketing. We'll see. Twitter there is getting right to the top of the chart there. People are really excited about Twitter as a potential sales and marketing tool. Facebook, on the other hand, has just gone over the curve, and many people are saying, oh, maybe Facebook isn't quite as exciting as we once thought it was. But here's one that really does work. WordPress. So any of you have a blog on WordPress? Lots of people nodding. WordPress has been around a while now, and as a piece of technology that we can use to interact, to communicate, to engage with people, it's proving to be very popular. So where does LinkedIn, do we think, sit on that graph? Pretty well there. So LinkedIn now has changed from being basically a glorified job site into a real-time social networking tool, okay? A real-time social network. So the HR people here, and I know there's a few, LinkedIn, you know, that's probably one of the first places you go if you're looking for new people. What we tend to forget, though, is it can be really, really powerful when it's used in a sales environment. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Just a few numbers about LinkedIn. It's really important that we make sure that you get a copy of all the slides. So if you don't want to scribble stuff down, I'll make sure you get. But basically, it appeared in 2003. It's got an awful lot of members. People are joining 2 people every second. It's all around the world. It's not just a job site. Groups are very, very popular. Any of you a member of a group on LinkedIn? Yeah, lots of people there. Any of you got a company page on LinkedIn? So this is really interesting. The company pages are growing rapidly, but for an awful lot of people, you know, you come along to conferences and events like this, and there's someone like me saying, you've really got to use social media. You've really got to reveal something of yourself. And yet there's a lot of people thinking, well, you know, I'm quite a private person. I'd rather not, thank you very much. But this stuff isn't compulsory. But so for those of you that are a little bit concerned about giving away too much about yourself through social media, company pages are a fantastic alternative for you. Its growth on the mobile platform is absolutely phenomenal. In fact, the LinkedIn apps, particularly on the iPhone and the iPad, are some of the most popular apps that there are on the App Store. It's used as a search engine. I mean, I don't even know what that number is, but that were that many searches in the LinkedIn search engine last year. But because we're all on LinkedIn and we've all uploaded our stuff, we put our CVs up there and we've started doing status updates, of course, LinkedIn is now the most fantastic repository of data. Data which any of us can now go in and extract and use as we see fit. You know, long ago when I was doing sales training, and we all still learn about how to do sales every single day, one of the key things that I was always taught was know your customer. Find out as much as you possibly can about them. Well, guess what? It's all on there. Hands up if you ever Googled someone before you met them for the first time. And quite often you're disappointed as to how little you'll actually find on Google. Where in fact, if you go to LinkedIn now, you will find more often than not a phenomenal amount of information. So LinkedIn is now being regarded as the people search engine. You want to find information about people, you want to find people who are experts in particular areas, LinkedIn is the place to go. Well, how do LinkedIn describe themselves? You know, they're pretty relaxed about it. They say that LinkedIn is a tool to make you more productive. Well, the amount of time I spend on it, I would disagree with that. But if you have a strategy for using LinkedIn, it can make you very, very productive indeed. So what's this business then about LinkedIn being a search engine? Well, when you think about it, here, what we've got here is a graph that shows that in around May 2010, the number of visits to social networking sites overtook the number of visits to search engines. Search was the number one thing that we did on the internet. Actually, searching for porn was the number one thing that we did on the internet, but let's take that out. But when you think about it, no, of course it did. When you look back in hindsight, you think, well, of course the number of visits to social networking sites overtook the number of visits to search engines. Because increasingly, we use social networking sites as search engines. I want to give you a real example of how I did this myself. A couple of years ago, my wife, my family and I, we were going down to southern Spain, and we booked this fabulous place down there. We wanted a nice villa, room for the kids, we wanted a nice pool, we wanted a few interesting places to go and visit nearby, some nice restaurants, all the stuff that you'd expect to hear. And we booked it, we booked the flights separately, and we sat back and we waited for our holiday, basically, several months down the line. And then about 3 weeks before we were due to go, we started hearing on the news that there were forest fires raging in southern Spain, in that particular part of southern Spain. My wife and I said in the kitchen one particular evening, wouldn't it be awful if the property that we were going to was caught up in the fires? Guess what happened? We get an email a week before we're due to go that says, we're really, really sorry, but the property you're going to it's no more. Sorry. And that was it, you know. Okay, they were offered to give our money back, but you know that really doesn't particularly help. So what do? I go onto Google. I thought with 1 week to go, maybe I can find something. And I Googled villas in Spain that were available in 5 days' time, that had got a nice pool, nice places to visit. And what do you suppose I found? Nothing at all. If they hadn't been burnt down already, they were booked up, and there was no way that I was going to find anything. So I thought, well, maybe social media could come into its own here. And I went on to my own site, Life Talk, which is a social networking site for financial services people, and I also went on to LinkedIn. I put, I don't suppose anybody knows somebody who just happens to have a villa available next week with all these amenities. And you know, within 30 minutes, I had 5 replies. All of them saying, yeah, I've got one, and it's available. And the one we eventually went for was for a financial planner that I happened to know. So the fact that I happened to know them just added that extra element of trust that this was okay. And they said, we've been refurbishing it over the summer, and we didn't think we'd get any bookings, but it's there, it's welcome for you to use, and you can have a discount if you could take some photos for the website when we rent it out. And the rest is history. We went down, we had a lovely holiday, and thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. And we made a new friend through that particular connection. So social media really came into its own as a search engine. Okay, the first bit we need to get right when it comes to LinkedIn is our profile page. And for many of us, this is the result that we get when people look at our profile page. We don't stand out from the crowd, we don't look any different from anybody else. So we're going to have a few tips now as to how to really bring your profile page up to scratch. But there is a test that we apply to make sure that your profile page really is attractive and is going to get people. And it is a one-word test. And if you meet this test, then fantastic. And this is the word. Yeah, nothing short of irresistible will do. That's a high bar. I said to my wife, can you think of anybody who's got a great profile that you'd say is irresistible? Somebody you know online, and she sent me this. And I said, no, somebody you know. She says, yes, I do know him. He's irresistible. So this is the bar. So David we can't use in our example, but I'm going to give you an example of someone's profile page who is irresistible, and his name is Art. Now, his name is Art Flater, okay? Now, I'm going to ask you instinctively, I'd like you to put your hands up, instinctively, do you feel that you like art? Put your hands up if you think you like art. Interesting. Hands going up all over the place. The guy looks okay. I'm not quite sure why he's standing against a brick wall, but he looks pleasant enough. He's got a jolly smile on his face. This is his photo that he uses on his profile page. Now, all of you in your heads have got an idea of what the perfect profile ought to look like on LinkedIn, yeah? You all know, you've probably written it to some extent. So let's show you some extracts from Art's profile page. Now, you really can't get away with that stuff unless you really are the real deal. Art runs an office supplies firm out in Milwaukee, and the testimonials for this guy's business are absolutely phenomenal. A guy more committed to customer service you will not find anywhere in the world. So you can't do this stuff unless you really are the real deal. A fabulous guy and a great example. And you should see his testimonials as well. Okay, so what's on your profile pages? None of the stuff that Art's got on his. This is what you've got on your profile page. I know because I've looked up a lot of them. These are the most overused words on LinkedIn profile pages, and most of us have got some, if not all of those words. So how on earth do we stand out from the crowd? How on earth do we differentiate ourselves from everybody else? Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to go to the settings on our LinkedIn account, okay? And we first of all need to make sure that whatever we do on LinkedIn, people can actually see it. And I know some of you want to be anonymous on LinkedIn because you're thinking of changing your job, and you don't want your boss to know, okay? But if you want to be seen, you want to be found, you want to appear in the search results on LinkedIn, you need to be visible. So first thing you need to go is just go and check in the settings who can actually see. And for a lot of you, you'll find that it does not say everyone. It says my network or something else. So you just want to go in there and make sure that everyone is the setting on there. Okay. Then you need to do something else. You need to get a clean sheet of paper and you need to write down between 10 and 15 keywords that sum up what you're about, your expertise. I don't want great service or anything woolly like that, okay? What are you about, okay? Write those keywords down and put them in order. So the most important keywords are at the very top of this. So the word at the very top is probably the word that you hope that people would find you if they type that word or words, a very, very short phrase, into the search engine, okay? So that's what you've got to do. Then what you've got to do is you've got to take the top 5 of those words and put them into each of the sections of your LinkedIn profile. Each and every one of us have got the same sections on our profile, and they are these. But you need to get those top 5 words into each of those sections, hook or by crook. Okay. Here's a bit off my profile page, and the first thing we have is my photo, which you will notice has a little one of these. The photo can get, people click on the photos. If they like your photo, they click on, and the picture gets bigger. I'll show you that later on. So you've got your name, and then you've got what they call a professional headline. Now, what most people do is they write some rambling load of old waffle in there. What you really can do is just put some keywords in your professional headline in there, okay? So get them in there. Some people even put some keywords in their name. Here's an example I found. Just now and again, you find some amazing profiles. LinkedIn take themselves very seriously, so when there's one of these on there, it's quite rare to find. So he's actually put something in his name. Now, LinkedIn say you shouldn't really put keywords into your name, and you might get them suggest that you take it out, but as long as you're not misrepresenting yourself, you can put keywords in your name as well if you want to. Now, the next thing you really must do, because this makes a big difference to how often you appear in search results, is to customize the URL that you're given. So most of you will have John Smith 49786, which isn't really very sexy. So what you can do, go into the edit section and change your URL and customize it to you. What I've even done is taken my name out and put keywords in instead. So if somebody, like a conference organizer, is searching for social media speaker, guess who's going to appear on the first page of results? You also find there's a section where you can put your website details in there as well. And what a lot of people just do is they put www, Smith & Co, whatever. What you can also do is, hidden behind the keywords is the actual URL for your website. So even put keywords in your website. Don't necessarily just put the name of your website, but put keywords in instead. And you can put your Twitter stuff in there as well. And once you've done that personalized URL, promote it on other parts of the internet, on your Facebook page, on your website, on your blog, on your Twitter page. So this is my Twitter page, and you can see that I put my personalized LinkedIn URL on my Twitter page. LinkedIn also give you a few little buttons that you can use so that people can connect with you, perhaps either through your email signature or again on your blog or your button. If you go to this particular address on LinkedIn, profile badges, they give you a bunch of different size badges which are personalized to you and will go through to your profile page as well. So again, what we're starting to get across here is the idea that LinkedIn is not just another social networking profile for you. It's an asset of your business, and treat it as such. It's an asset of your business. Now, one of the things that's really important to remember is that when people come to your profile page, they have never done it by accident. And I know all of you, one of the questions you're going to ask me later is, what do I do about those connection requests that I get from people I've never met before, who claimed they worked with me? One of the things is, they wanted to look at your profile page. Okay, they might be a spammer, I don't know. But they did it for a bunch of reasons, and these are all the different reasons that they could have turned up on your profile page. Maybe you turned up in a search. Maybe you did a status update that somebody they knew liked or commented on. Maybe you updated your profile. Maybe you put a new photo on there. Maybe you joined a group. Maybe you commented. All of these different things. And LinkedIn have a brand new thing called LinkedIn Contacts now. And I mean, LinkedIn's rapidly turning into Facebook, let's be honest. They even tell you when a contact of yours or a contact on LinkedIn, it's their birthday or it's an anniversary in their particular job. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why people would come to your profile page. And once you know these reasons, you can do these things to deliberately attract more people to come and visit your profile page. So having a great photo is a really, really important thing. And every time you update your photo, it appears on the home page of LinkedIn for people to like or to comment on. You can see I happen to know Caroline. This is her new business photo. So I've just put great profile, great photo, Caroline. But the fact that I did that means a whole bunch of other people will have seen that I did that. And some people will just not be able to resist going, oh, who's this Phil Calvert guy? And they'll click on it. So everything you do on LinkedIn attracts people to your profile. Think about your photo as well. You know, lovely, I'm sure Emma's lovely, but why would you want to have your glasses right across your eyes like that? Adam's picture here, much, much nicer. Antoinetta obviously likes him. And people click on it. So those of you that have been on LinkedIn for quite a while, a few years ago, you couldn't upload a very big file. These days, you can now upload a very big photo file, because if people like the look of you, they're going to click on it, and if you have got a big file, it will enlarge so people can take a look at you. Because as somebody was saying this morning, although this is online, it's still about seeing the whites of your eyes. People buy people. Always did and always will. We're just doing it online now. Some people's photos don't quite do it. And if you have got one of those photos that perhaps isn't appropriate, you might want to think about updating it. Because what does that tell us about Bart? People believe what they see. You know, he did that all by himself, as did Frank. And I'm happy to show his name because he's done it on purpose for some reason. That's how he wants to be seen by the great world out there. He's got a pretty senior job position there as well. But I'm sure he's a lovely fella. This guy's on here as well. But what I love, though, is when you scroll down his profile page, because you don't just stop at the top, you have a look else and see what else they've written. When you scroll down, you can see one of the groups that he's joined. which I think is quite nice as well. Yes, and I found a horse on LinkedIn as well, and the sharp-eyed ones of you will notice that I've actually connected with him, as indeed he has 69 other... Weird Horse is also on Twitter. I don't know if you know the Fake Queen on Twitter as well, which is the most fantastic account, but Weird Horse is on Twitter as well. Very, very funny stuff. Well worth looking at. Okay, so photos are really important, and in the last few months, LinkedIn has allowed us to upload more media. So not just photos, but PowerPoint presentations, PDF files, videos, you name it, you can put it on. And LinkedIn call it the professional portfolio. So if you have got a product or service that has a that needs to be seen, then this is absolutely perfect for you. You can also do it in the company pages as well. You can upload all sorts of stuff. And the really good thing about all this is that, of course, LinkedIn give you a bunch of stats about how often you're viewed, how often you appear in search as well. This was my appearances in search over a few months up to this particular point. And the day after I uploaded those photos, those ones there, okay, the day after, that happened. Very, very simple. And of course, it's been shown time and time again that people respond very much more favourably and more positively to visuals as well. We haven't got time to read through people's profiles in detail, so put pictures up as well. Again, just you don't need to particularly read this, but think about the layout as well. Bullet points are really, really important, and just try and keep it neat, try and keep it tidy. And all those endorsements, those skills endorsements that you got further down the page, okay, summarize them at the top. So if you've got 1,000+ endorsements for social media or whatever it is, tell people about it. Show it off. Make sure people can see it. Here's somebody else. Here's Wendy's. This is really, when you get to see the slides, have a read through this and just see how simple. That's all she's done. You don't have to use all the space that LinkedIn give you. Here's another one from somebody else. Nice, simple layout. Keep it clear, make it easy for people to read it and see you. LinkedIn have an honours and awards section as well. So if you won a bunch of prizes, then stick them in that particular section as well. And that adds to the perception of credibility as well. Here's a little section on LinkedIn that a lot of people don't really even know exists, and it's called Volunteer and Causes. And so if you have particular interest in education or the environment or human rights, tell people about it on that particular section. And there's increasingly an awful lot of evidence to show, and there may be people in this room today, that many, many companies are starting to recruit people who have got an interest in those particular issues, and also they'll use those issues as a differentiator in their business as well. So if you're particularly interested in the environment or something like that, then use that particular section to help you as well. Something else you can do is join or start 50 groups. And again, this is fantastic for salespeople. If you're looking at a particular target market, I promise you there'll be a group for it. So go hang out in that group. Don't go introducing yourself unless they actually ask you to. Just watch and observe. You know, one of the things about social media, many people believe that social media, it's all about push, 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 sell, sell, sell. When in actual fact, social media, a valid social media strategy is just to use it to watch and listen. Go along to some of the groups and just watch and listen. Observe your target market. Listen to what they're talking about. Take an interest in what they care about. The groups are really powerful. And if you then want to get to the stage where you want to start your own group, that's a very exciting journey as well, because that's the point where you can start to build community around your brand, community around your products, community around your services. Now, this is a real killer tip. I don't tell too many people this one too often, so I save it for you. Now, any of you heard of SlideShare? Okay, those of you that haven't, SlideShare is a social networking site for PowerPoint presentations. Yep, such a thing exists. Every single second of every day, people are uploading PowerPoint presentations on every topic under the sun. And because content is going onto this site all the time, who's hanging around? Google. Google's hanging around. So increasingly when we're searching for stuff on the internet, we'll start to see results from SlideShare appearing. Now, one of the things that you can do is create a PowerPoint presentation that is only for viewing by people who look at your profile page. So in other words, create a presentation, something short, that is only for the viewers of your LinkedIn profile page. And this is one that I did that sits on my profile page on LinkedIn, and the stats that I've got, it's had 1,600 views in a very, very short period of time. It will also appear on SlideShare as well, and it gives you more stats about it as well. LinkedIn own SlideShare. Every time you upload a presentation to SlideShare, it appears on your LinkedIn profile page, on the home page of LinkedIn. So use SlideShare, but use it in a strategic way as well. And I've put 27 SlideShare presentations onto SlideShare, and every now and again they send me some numbers. And I'm very pleased that I've had 28,000 views on my PowerPoint presentations. And if you're salespeople, you will have PowerPoint presentations sitting around doing nothing that were maybe once used out in the field or used at a seminar. Revisit them, bring them up to date, upload them onto SlideShare, be amazed at how many people will then start looking at your LinkedIn profile as a result. All of this stuff's all very well, but what's the ROI on it? I think the key bit of ROI on using LinkedIn is the number of views you get, okay? Appearing in search results is all very nice, but it doesn't guarantee that you'll then get a review. So you want to do things that get you views, okay? Now, one of the things here you get on LinkedIn is you get some numbers. It's written in blue, which means it's clickable. And it says, when I did this slide day before yesterday, your profile's been viewed by 12 people in the past 3 days. That's really interesting. What might be useful for me to know? Who? And if I know who they are, what might be a good thing for me to then do? How about thank them? 98% of people on LinkedIn never bother to thank people for viewing their profile on LinkedIn. That's the equivalent of somebody walking into your store, okay, into your shop, and you do this. You turn your back on them. How will they feel walking into your store if you as a salesperson turn your back on them? Not great, I suspect. And a nice little touch on LinkedIn is just to thank them. Don't go into sales mode. Just say, thanks for looking at my profile page today. Maybe you could then say, did anything catch your eye? And what do you suppose happens when you do that? Guess what? They reply. And then what happens? Dialogue happens. Then what happens? Possibly a relationship starts to build. Simple little thing, but thank people for looking at your profile page. Look at the other numbers that LinkedIn give you as well. You've all seen this stuff, but it just goes over your head. Look at this. Since October the 12th, 68,000 people have joined my network on LinkedIn. By network, it means immediate contacts, second-degree contacts, and people in groups that I'm a member of. The potential for you on LinkedIn is therefore massive, absolutely massive. When you've done something on LinkedIn, they also give you some nice little graphs to show how viral it went. And this is quite useful as well, because over time, if you've posted status updates or articles and other material, you get a sense of what is working well and what's not working well. Learn from that. Observe the reaction to what you put on LinkedIn and see how far and wide it gets spread. How to get more views? Do more status updates. It's really easy. Engage with news. You've probably seen on LinkedIn there's all sorts of news. It's personalized news. Engage means like, comment, or share it. Engage with everything on LinkedIn that is relevant to your expertise and your target market. Once a month, change your photo. Simple little thing. So it's an asset of your business, okay? It's not just another social networking profile page. It's an asset. And what do we do with assets of our business? We look after them. We care for them. We nurture them. Now, let's give you some example of it being used as a search engine. So we type in financial planner for sake of example, 236,000 results come up, okay? And this is from around the whole world. And these are the top results, and all 4 of these people have followed the advice that I give them to make sure, and they appeared on the first page. But let's have a look at Tina down the bottom. You'll notice Tina here, she's an IFA financial planner, and she's actually put keywords in her name. Okay, now as I said, some people say you can't do that. You can do it as long as you don't misrepresent yourself. Now let's have a look at Tina. And one of the other lovely sections that we all get on our LinkedIn profile page is an interest section. This is the bit that says, actually, we're not just hard, tough business people. We're real, soft, fluffy human beings. We have interests just like you and I. This is the personal touch. Now, you might have guessed that Tina's Greek, okay? And surprise, surprise, she has the word bouzouki in her profile page. So for those of you who don't know, that's the stringed guitar-like instrument. And it's written in blue, which means we can click on it. So let's click on the word bouzouki and see what happens. And it shows everyone else in LinkedIn who has got the word bouzouki in their profile page somewhere along the line. Now, why might that be of any relevance? But by pure coincidence, the one underneath Tina is another financial advisor from Cyprus. Tina right now is looking for more financial advisors to join her firm. Do you think they might have something in common? So use the interests section to find other people like you, or to find people with interests that you might feel are relevant, okay? People buy people, but we particularly buy people who we have something in common with, even if it is bazookies. In my interest section, yes, get some keywords in, yeah, okay, but also put in other stuff as well. So when I'm not doing this, I do kickboxing. It's one of the techniques I use to keep audiences in line, okay? So I thought, well, and I click kickboxing and see who else I can find. And I narrowed it down. You can then filter it by country. You can filter it by location. And I thought Roland might be, I was looking for someone in financial services who does kickboxing, and I find Roland. So I send Roland this, don't I? No, I don't. You've all sent that, and you've all received that as well. Isn't it the dullest way to introduce yourself to anyone? Is that what you'd say to somebody if you just met them? So what should we do? We should personalize it. Simple thing. Put their name on it would be a nice little touch. And guess what happens when you put their name on it? They get in touch. So what can I send to Roland? How about this? That's all you need to do. And guess what happens? He replies. After I'd looked at Art Flater's profile page on LinkedIn, he sent me a note back saying, "Dear Mr. Social Media Guru, thank you very much for looking at my profile page today. If you're ever out my way, come along and we'll have one of my famous lunches." I thought, that's personalised, it's nice. And he actually put something like, he said, "I expect you're putting together a presentation on how not to do a LinkedIn profile." Okay, well, let's just do, we've got a little bit of time left, just do a couple more tips as well, just to keep us going. Another little thing here, there's a bit on the right-hand side of the homepage on LinkedIn. It says, who you recently looked at. Okay, and then it's got this little button, which nobody really ever bothers to look at. Click similar people. And what it will then do is find other people who are like the people that you've already looked at. A great way to find other contacts like that as well. And here we are, other people like Caroline, who I was looking at earlier. Here's another thing as well. You can go, a great way to find more people who are like your best connections. So you've all got some good connections on there, and you want to find more people like them, go to one of them, and then just type in a keyword here. And it could be kickboxing, it could be bouzouki, it could be CRM, whatever. And you'll find other people who are like your very best connections. I'm going to stop it there, but please feel free to ask me any questions through Twitter or any other particular way. I've really enjoyed being here today, and I hope you've got at least something out of that. Hands up if you've got something out of it today. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for your time.
Wasn't that genuinely really useful? And how many of you are going to go back and look at your LinkedIn profile and change it? All of us, pretty much, yes. Good. So really, really useful. Thank you very, very much. Excellent. Okay, what are we doing now?